The PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X are finally here and a brand new generation of gaming has begun. But let's get down to what really matters. What JRPGs can we look forward to on these new consoles? Lucky for you, I did some digging and found 13 of them announced to be coming to either PS5, Xbox Series X, or just next-gen consoles in general. Now these are only confirmed games, not assumed, and I may have missed a few, so if I did, be sure to drop a comment to let me know, but be nice about it, okay? So if you're excited about what's to come in this new generation of JRPGs and want to stay up to date with all the latest news and reviews, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. First off, we have Demon Souls. I know it's not a true JRPG in the classic sense, but people have mentioned Souls-like games in previous videos, so I figured I might as well include it. Developed by Bluepoint Games and Studio Japan exclusively for the PlayStation 5, this is one of the only true next-gen only games at launch. Everything shown of the game so far looks incredibly impressive and a true next-gen showpiece. Not only does the lighting look stunning, but it runs at a silky smooth 4K 60 frames per second. Not everyone is super pleased with some of the visual changes that they've made, but overall it's hard not to be impressed. Whether you're already playing it or plan on waiting for a few more games to drop, Demon Souls already looks like one of PS5's must-own games. Another game that you can play on a next-gen console right now is Yakuza Like a Dragon. While technically the 8th mainline game in the series, this serves as the perfect entry point as it has a brand new protagonist and combat system. In Like a Dragon, you play as Ichiban Kasuga, a former Yakuza member who's been trying to rebuild his life. Like past Yakuza games, Like a Dragon rides that fine line of dramatic storytelling and wacky side content. When you're not talking through your personal insecurities with your party, you'll be tracking down public urinators and fighting giant man babies. Literally. The combat system looks like a more traditional JRPG than an action brawler the series is known for. Despite this radical change, it works quite well with a variety of abilities and class changes. PS5 owners will unfortunately have to wait until March of 2021 to get their hands on Like a Dragon, but if you have an Xbox Series X, this is definitely an RPG worth having in your launch lineup. From the team that brought you Cosmic Star Heroine comes Cthulhu Saves Christmas, and as the name implies, you play as Cthulhu trying to save Christmas. To do so, you'll need to team up with Santa's granddaughter Crystal to save Santa from the evil Christmas-themed villains like the Krampus. The environments are mostly snow-filled, many with Christmas decorations to get you in the holiday spirit. In traditional JRPG fashion, you have turn-based combat with a turn order on the right-hand side of the screen to help you out. Something else that's pretty neat is that on the bottom right-hand side of the screen, it shows how many random encounters you still have in the zone you're currently in before they're gone. Doing them all also nets you extra experience points, so it might be worth doing. You also have small side events with your party to get to know them better, which are quite amusing. And if you're a big collector, this is actually Limited Run Games' first PS5 game, and you have until December 6th to pre-order it. So if you're interested, I'll leave a link down in the description. Following up on its best-selling predecessor, Atelier Ryza 2 Lost Legends and the Secret Fairy comes to PS5 in January of 2021. Ryza 2 picks up 3 years after the first game, once again following Ryza and her friends Lent, Claudia, and Tao on another adventure. They find themselves in the royal capital of Ashra-Ombard. They seek to explore ancient ruins and lost legends behind each. Familiar elements like alchemy and a fast-paced turn-based combat system return as well with slight variations. Combat looks to be even more dynamic and intense with abilities to control all 4 party members at once and comboing together skills in even more devastating ways. There's even new abilities like jumping and swimming to create an even greater sense of exploration. If you are a fan of the original, Atelier Ryza 2 seems like more of the same but improved upon in a number of small ways. And honestly, that sounds alright to me. One of the most unique looking games on this list is Cris Tales. You can't help but be in awe when you look at this game, and it's hard to tell when the cutscene visuals end and the in-game graphics begin. This love letter to classic JRPGs is all about time travel, allowing you to delve into the past to make decisions that will dramatically change the future. The really wild part about this is that you're able to see the past, present, and future all at the same time. Cris Tales also boasts a dynamic strategic turn-based combat system where synchronizing abilities and mastering timed button presses will be crucial to combat. There's also a demo available right now if you want to get a taste of what's to come when it launches early next year. After making big waves on PC, Temtem makes its console debut on PS5 in 2021. For those who have never heard of Temtem, this is essentially the Pokemon MMO that we've been waiting for. Sorry, online monster taming RPG. So many people got mad at me in my Nexomon review for calling it a Pokemon clone, so I had to save myself here. For real though, if you've been looking for an online iteration of games like this, then Temtem might just be the game for you. Not only can you play the game cooperatively, but you can also battle other tamers online as you explore the world. And for those that like customizing your experience, you can even decorate your own home. Currently you can play Temtem on PC, but it comes to early access on PS5 on December 8th, with a full release expected sometime in 2021. Speaking of JRPGs you can play online with your friends, Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis is slated to launch sometime in 2021. New Genesis serves as a massive overhaul to PSO2 with a new visual style, giant open world, and a shift to an action combat system. To be clear, this isn't an expansion to PSO2, but rather Sega seems to be positioning this title as a replacement to PSO2 as it's getting pretty old at this point. Aspects that make the original so popular, like deep customization and intense gameplay, seem to be here in spades. Oh, and one of the most important features that I can't forget to mention, their fingers move. If you love the original PSO2 and are looking for a modern reinvention, the new Genesis should look pretty promising. One of the most exciting games on this list for me has to be Scarlet Nexus. It's a futuristic action RPG with a lot of the same team members that worked on Tales of Vesperia. The general premise is that there are monsters that fell from the sky known as the Others that are constantly mutating. The troubling part about this, for humans, is that the Others are immune to most modern weaponry and can only be defeated with psychokinetic abilities. This sets the stage for a pretty cool combat system. Combat seems reminiscent of Devil May Cry with intense action and a wide variety of slick abilities. It seems like you'll be able to play a bunch of different characters with unique abilities as well. One thing that really stands out to me is the game's style. Everything from the art direction to the music just screams cool. Scarlet Nexus has a general 2021 release window, but hopefully Bandai Namco won't keep us waiting too long before we can explore this amazing looking world. One of the most surprising announcements of 2020 was Final Fantasy XVI. Surprising not only because Final Fantasy VII Remake just came out, but also because of how much gameplay they had to show. In Final Fantasy XVI, you play as Clive Rosefield, a young warrior who's the sworn guardian to his brother Joshua. Joshua is special because the icon Phoenix resides within him. Each of the nations in this world have what is called a dominant, someone that's blessed with the awesome power of an icon, or as longtime fans of the series might call them, summons or eidolons. Final Fantasy XVI also seems to be a bit of a throwback as it's returning to a medieval style setting, straying away from the more futuristic settings of recent titles. Combat continues down the action route of recent titles like Final Fantasy XV and VII Remake. 16's combat seems to be in good hands as the lead combat designer worked on the excellent Devil May Cry 5 and the severely underrated Dragon's Dogma. The Final Fantasy XVI team is being helmed by fan favorite Naoki Yoshida, the man responsible for reviving Final Fantasy XIV and turning it into the powerhouse that it is today. The stage is set for this to be one of the best entries the series has seen in a decade or so, and hopefully Square can deliver the goods when it releases exclusively on PlayStation 5. Suikoden fans have been screaming for another entry in the series for years, and the next best thing is the upcoming Udin Chronicle. The game launched a Kickstarter campaign over the summer and managed to raise over $4.5 million. What's exciting about Udin Chronicle is that most of the core staff from past Suikoden games are working on this game. This is pretty much a Suikoden game in everything but name. You can recruit over 100 characters, build up a base, and bring up to 6 characters with you into battle. Udin Chronicle seems to be employing an art style similar to Octopath Traveler with high quality sprites for characters and 3D models for the environment. Personally, I think it looks fantastic. Little else is known for now, and we'll have to be patient as Udin Chronicle isn't slated to release until fall of 2022. But hey, for those of us that have been patiently waiting for a new Suikoden game, what's a few more years? Speaking of Kickstarter games, Sea of Stars also had a successful crowdfunding campaign and looks absolutely stunning. Brought to us from the team behind The Messenger, Sea of Stars is a throwback RPG clearly inspired by the 16-bit era. The game employs a turn-based combat system with active button presses to keep combat engaging. The team is also doing some really interesting things with traversal never seen in a 16-bit style game before, as well as employing a dynamic lighting system which looks super impressive. To draw out the nostalgia even further, the team will be working with legendary game composer Yasunori Mitsuda, who's worked on games like Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, and Xenogears. Sea of Stars seems to be hitting all the right notes, but like a Udin Chronicle, we'll have to wait until at least 2022 before we can get our hands on it. One of the most intriguing games on this list is Project Awakening. Virtually nothing is known about this game outside of this very short slice of gameplay you're seeing here. What makes this game promising though is it's being brought to us by Cygames, the team behind the hit mobile title Grand Blue Fantasy and the upcoming action RPG Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. Many have speculated that this could share elements to Monster Hunter based on the scale and AI of the dragon in this clip, but honestly we just don't know enough yet. It's been a few years since we've heard anything, and hopefully Cygames blesses us with a new trailer sometime soon. Last but certainly not least, we have Project Refantasy from Atlus's new team, Studio Zero. Now, Studio Zero is helmed by core members of the Persona team, including Persona 5's director, Katsuro Hashino. The only game the studio has released so far has been Catherine Full Body, which released in the West in 2019. To my surprise, Project Refantasy was actually announced in December of 2016, nearly 4 years ago. Outside of these few pieces of concept art you're looking at, virtually nothing else is known other than it's an RPG set in a traditional fantasy setting. Hashino said that he hoped to reveal the game this year, but clearly that doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Hopefully Atlus shows us the goods with this one soon because we're way past due. Now, if you want to hear even more about a JRPG on this list you can play right now, be sure to check out my review on Yakuza Like a Dragon. It's an excellent game and the perfect entry point for new players. And if you want to stay up to date with all things JRPGs and Japanese games, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.